wanted to hop on real quick today to go over some live Q&A questions that I received. I told my whole email list, hey, I'm going to answer any and all questions that you have. Just send them over and I will do my best to answer your questions. Sorry if the camera's a little low here. It's a little bit below me. Maybe I can lift it up a bit. And maybe we'll get started on today's live Q&A. So real quick, before I jump into it, wanted to tell you my story. First off, back in 2016, I had Lyme disease. I was fainting. I had vertigo. I was dizzy. I felt like I was on another planet all the time. I was way out of whack. Things were not right. And I didn't know why until I found out I had Lyme disease. Instead of taking antibiotics, I used herbs. I used nutrition. I used holistic wellness methods. And over the span of a year, I was able to take back my body and feel like myself again. And during that year, it was extremely annoying to figure everything out. It was extremely difficult to find the herbs that I needed, to prepare the herbs that I needed. I had to make them into teas and tinctures. It smelled up my whole house. It was annoying, it was tough, and it was hard to find high quality products, high quality herbs that I could use. And I promised, I vowed that if I got better from this thing, if I fixed this thing, that I would then pay it forward. I would help other people. I'd find a way to make something better, something more powerful, something easier, so that no one else had to go through the hassle that I went through with Lyme disease. And the way that I did that is I ended up spending years. It took me 5 years. It took me lots of time. It took me lots of energy, way more money than I had. I didn't have the money at the time, but I figured it out over the span of 5 years, and I created the LymeWars Herb Box because it was such a hassle and it was so annoying for me. I wanted to make it easier for other people, and now I've done it. And luckily, it's been great. Thousands of people have been able to get the easier, better version of the thing that I wish existed while I was healing from Lyme. And you can check it out at LymeDiseaseWars.com. That's LymeDiseaseWars.com. That's where the LymeWars Herb Box is available for anyone that's looking for the best possible solution for Lyme disease, the highest quality herbs, the best ingredients, the lowest amount of ingredients, because you don't need all that extra BS. You just need the most potent part of the herb. You just need the herbs that work. You're a utilitarian person that just needs exactly what's going to work every single time. You take it, you get better over time. And that didn't exist when I was healing from Lyme disease. So I had to create things. I had to find ways to make it work. And now you don't have to go through that same hassle, that same struggle, because I spent so much time, energy, and money fixing the problem for everybody so that nobody has to go through what I went through again. Again, that's LymeDiseaseWars.com if you want to check it out. No obligations, no strings attached, just go check it out. It's worth your time, energy, money. It's worth that because it saves you so much time, energy, and money dealing with all the nonsense that I had to deal with. Now, I'm going to get right into some questions here. So Carrie says, hi Ryan, I went deaf in my left ear and have lost my hair. Are these common symptoms of Lyme? Now, really sorry to hear that, Carrie. That's tough. And yes, from my research, I found that Lyme disease can affect your hearing. It can affect your eardrums in the inner parts of your ear, which then in turn makes it very difficult for you to hear, and it can lead to long-term eardrum damage, which can eventually cause you to be deaf, which is extremely sad. And the longer it goes untreated, the longer you do nothing about Lyme disease, the more chance that it can have that effect. So yes, that's part of it. And losing hair is also something that's commonly reported as well. I don't think I have that excuse personally, as you could tell. I don't have any hair, but I do not blame Lyme disease for that. I blame genetics. So it is what it is, as far as I go. But yes, that is a symptom of Lyme disease as well. is losing hair, and it has to do with the inflammation response from Lyme. So what happens with Lyme disease is there's a huge inflammation response as our immune system reacts to Lyme microbes and tries to find them and kill them. However, Lyme microbes are very good at evading the immune system, hiding and hijacking our different systems, using our own proteins from our DNA in order to mask their own DNA, so that they're kind of like wearing an invisible cloak against our immune system. So our immune system tends to overreact, causing a huge inflammation response, and we release something called cytokines. And it ends up releasing a cytokine cascade effect, where more and more cytokines get released over time in order to try to fight Lyme disease microbes. But since they're difficult to find and they evade the immune system so well, it ends up continuing to build the inflammation over time, and it just gets worse and worse, and it tends to have an autoimmune effect, which can lead to all types of symptoms, hair loss being one of them. So, Carrie, the answer is yes, those symptoms can definitely be linked to Lyme disease, unfortunately. So, and I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that. I know it's tough. I've been there, maybe not with your exact symptoms. I had my own symptoms, and that's something we hear over and over. Lyme is not Lyme is not Lyme. It is different in each and every individual, and we all have different symptoms based on lots of different things, whether it's the region of the world you live in, the type of tick you got bit by, your own genetics, your own body and the way that it reacts to these certain things, your diet. You know, I could go on and on and on about everything that makes each Lyme disease case very specific, unique, and individual. However, herbs do what they do, right? They're plants. They grow. We've been using them for thousands and thousands of years, especially in the East. And we're just now catching on in the West. We're just now figuring out that medicine is here on the earth without us doing anything to prepare it or to do anything to it. We can just use it. And it's extremely powerful and useful to everyone that's willing to try. And it's insane that it took this long, and doctors don't recommend it often enough, because the pharmaceutical companies cannot control it. It's up to us as the people to share the message that herbs are powerful and work really, really well, whereas pharmaceutical companies can't control it and profit off of it, so they will never push that message out to the doctors, and the doctors will never push those prescriptions out because they're not getting big kickbacks from the insurance company and the pharmaceutical companies, and the whole system is broken, unfortunately. But that's why I'm here to spread the message that there's a better way, there's an easier way. You don't have to go through all the pain and the hassle, especially now that the LymeWars Herb Box exists. Next, Dina says, are there any contradictions in taking the herbs with antipsychotics? So she's referring to antipsychotic medications, probably linked to schizophrenia or bipolar, different kinds of antipsychotic medications. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know too much about that world. However, herbs are plants. They mix pretty well with most things. They're very simple. They're just found in nature. Our ancestors would have been eating them as part of their diet. And so these days our diet is lacking in a lot of essential phytonutrients and phytochemicals that we don't get in our diet because our food system has been domesticated, right? They moved everything inside, they sprayed everything with chemicals. The plants are not creating the same types of phytochemicals that they used to. And so we have to replace that by using herbs. It's an extremely powerful tool that anybody can use for all types of different problems. So to answer that question, I have never seen anything showing that taking the herbs with antipsychotic medication would be a negative thing. Now, always check with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, I'm a nutritionist. I've studied herbs for a very long time and I studied nutrition, but if you're taking a certain medication and you want to make sure it doesn't have a negative effect mixing with herbs, definitely check with your doctor. However, from what I've seen, it's very difficult to find anything that doesn't mix well with herbs because they're so simple. They're just nature. They're just growing out in your yard, sometimes. Not all the time, and sometimes we do have to get them from foreign places, but they are very available, very simple to get. And when people start growing them for commercial use, it's very simple for them to grow because they grow like weeds. Some of these plants that are in the LymeWars Herb Box are actually invasive species, meaning they grow when people don't want them to grow, meaning they are everywhere. They're not hard to find, which makes them, makes it more obvious. Maybe, stick with me here, maybe the plant that grows with, on its own without people intervening, maybe there's a reason for that, right? We find out it has all these medicinal properties. I'm speaking specifically of Japanese knotweed right now, Polygonum cuspidatum. It's so powerful. You can ask any health coach, anybody that knows anything about what the main compound in it is called resveratrol. Anybody that knows anything about health and wellness knows about resveratrol. And a lot of people take resveratrol every single day just for the health benefits that it has. It increases blood volume. It increases the size and volume of your blood vessels. It increases your blood vessel dilation. It increases your blood flow. It also crosses the blood-brain barrier. It can protect your central nervous system. It can protect your brain. It can protect your heart. It protects all these major organs, and it just grows in nature like a weed. They can't stop it from growing. It takes over whole houses because it grows so much. So maybe there's a reason that plant grows so easily and so frequently and so in such a wild manner. Maybe that's because we should be using it more often. Just my 2 cents. So herbs mixed with other medications, always check with your doctor, but they really tend to work really, really well with everything because they're just plants, right? It's so like, okay, can you drink tea on your medications? Can you drink coffee? These are just plants that grow in the wild. We use them, we consume them, and they have health benefits. But these are just another plant that has health benefits. It's not a pharmaceutical grade drug that's been drilled down into a very specific thing and mixing together all different kinds of plants. It's one single plant put into a capsule form so that it's really, really easy for you to take every single day. All you have to do is take it every morning or whenever you'll remember. I remember every morning, so I take it in the morning. And it's that simple. See, we tend to overcomplicate everything, but the truth is, these are just plants. They're available to us. They've been available to us for thousands and thousands of years. But for some reason, here in the West, we tend to forget about them. We tend to write them off. We tend to call them alternative medicine, when in fact, they've been used to help with all sorts of illnesses for so, so long in a very reliable, very predictable way. And all of the studies show it. All of the data shows that that's how it works. Next question, Elizabeth. I've been taking the herbs since the middle of January. Now experience. Okay, so she's having bowel movement problems and she's wondering if she should stop taking the herbs for a little while until it gets better. You can do that for sure. I would be surprised to hear that it is actually the herbs causing that. I've never, this is not something that I hear very often. If that is the case, I would suggest that, yeah, try stopping them for a little, see if it gets better, and then go back to taking them. Other things that can cause that are leaky gut syndrome, which can happen a lot of times from dead Lyme microbes being killed and not released out of the body, not detoxified out. That can lead to a more permeable gut, which will lead to leaky gut, which leads to all sorts of other problems and bowel movement problems that you're explaining here. So you could stop taking the herbs and see if that helps, but I would suggest trying your other routes. Trying to increase your detoxification might be a possible route that you should try. There's lots of ways to do that, lots of different supplements that can help. I don't want to recommend anything specific without looking at your labs, looking at your symptoms in your body specifically, because we're all unique. It's not so simple that I can just say, take this supplement and for whoever you are, it'll work. That's not how nutrition works. That's not how the human body works. It's very specific and unique when it comes to trying to fix problems through supplementation and nutrition. But I would say it's probably not herbs causing bowel movement problems in most cases. It could be a lot of other things potentially. I would even probably get a stool test to figure out what is happening. There could be different kinds of bacteria in your gut that aren't balanced correctly. You could have all types of different issues there. So I wouldn't necessarily blame the herbs right away and stop taking them, especially if you're seeing relief from your symptoms, which you told me you are, from taking the herbs. I would probably go another route, get a stool test, see what's going on that way. Next question, Debbie. Don't know if I really have Lyme. Had it about 6 years ago. No meds for that. 72. Basically, this question is, do I have Lyme disease? And I cannot diagnose anyone with Lyme disease. That's not my job. But a lot of people are suffering and they don't know if they have Lyme disease. They're not sure because the testing is inaccurate and not sensitive enough. It doesn't actually work. And actually, if you comb through all of the data, you'll see it's actually insane. If you look at all of the cases where they were clinically diagnosed with Lyme disease, that means they were diagnosed based on their symptoms. If you look at all of that data, they give tests to everybody. They use the test, like they want to see if the test is accurate, right? So they take the people that have already been clinically diagnosed with Lyme disease and then give them the test to see if they pop on the test. Well, 75% came back negative of people that they knew had Lyme disease, whether they had the EM rash or they had very clear symptoms that made the doctor say, okay, you have Lyme disease. 75% of those people came up negative on the regular standard tests that they use. That's insane. That's clearly a problem. That means that the test clearly doesn't work well, and it's clearly not going to tell you accurately if you have Lyme disease or not. That being said, it's also impossible to prove that you've cured Lyme disease. There is no test in the world that can prove that. Personally, I've never had a test that proves that I healed from Lyme disease. Now, that might sound scary to some people, but I haven't had any symptoms in 7.5 years. No symptoms. I was fainting. I was sleeping 16 hours a day. I had multiple rashes on my body. I was, not eating well. I had so many symptoms. I had like a bunch of symptoms. Looking back, I know for a fact I had a multiple disseminated case of chronic Lyme disease. That means it was affecting multiple organ systems. I know this based off my symptoms and based off my blood work, based off my patterns. I know it in retrospect. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew it was very serious and I had to take it very seriously. But looking back, I know all that. And that being said, I can't prove that I'm better, but I haven't had any of those symptoms in over 7 years. So that to me is good enough, right? I will take no symptoms any day of the week versus having a test tell me, okay, you're better, but still having symptoms, right? False negatives are far too common with Lyme disease. We can't trust the test. It's just how it is. And the best thing about that, not the best thing about that, that's not how I want to say it. What do I want to say? I want to say that you don't need a positive Lyme disease test in order to start taking action. Why? Because herbs are safe, they're predictable, they have positive health benefits even if you don't have Lyme disease. There's no reason not to take herbs if you're trying to get better. And if you feel those symptoms, even if, let's say, you find out, okay, it wasn't Lyme disease, it was arthritis that was causing my joint pain. Well, guess what? Those herbs still help with rheumatoid arthritis. Let's say you find out it was chronic fatigue syndrome, which isn't actually a real thing. That's also just a big, giant lump of symptoms where they throw you in that basket if they don't know what you have. Let's say that's what it is. Well, these herbs can also help with that. It's not so cut and dry. I know that the brand that I have is called LymeWars, LymeDiseaseWars.com, but that doesn't mean that it only works for Lyme disease. These herbs are plants that grow in the wild. They are very beneficial for all humans in all states. Even healthy humans take a lot of these herbs every single day. They just so happen to be tailored very, very well to people with things like chronic fatigue syndrome, rheumatoid arthritis, Lyme disease, MS, right? All of these types of common problems, common illnesses, they work very well for that. I was speaking to a man the other day who had been diagnosed with MS, but he thought it was Lyme disease. Well, he started taking the herbs and he's already seeing massive beneficial results. He's able to walk better without his cane. These herbs are just helping people left and right. I got an email the other day from a guy who's an avid hunter. His name's Kyle. He took the herbs for a few months, 6 months, I believe. He said he was sleeping all the time. He had vertigo. He had weird feelings where it felt like an out-of-body experience. He had all of these strange symptoms. Started taking the herbs and he felt so much better. He said he feels like a new man every day. I get these emails every day from people explaining to me how much these herbs are helping them, and they saved my life, right? I mean, I was in a very, very serious Lyme disease case when I was taking these herbs. And like I said, it was annoying. It was so annoying. I had to buy them in bulk. First, I had to find high quality herbs in bulk, which good luck doing that. That's really, really hard because how do you trust it? It's high. If it's in bulk, it's very difficult to trust. You don't really know what you're getting. You're kind of just getting like a big bag of powder. It's kind of fishy. It's kind of like you don't even know what to look for. How do you find a quality supplier? So I had to put in all that work just to find the herbs. Then I had to create teas and tinctures out of the herbs that I found. Very, very difficult. I don't want anybody yet to have to do that because it was just too much work for no reason. So I said, I'm going to fix this for other people so that other people don't have to go through this, and that's why LymeWars exists to this day. So if you don't know if you have Lyme disease, but you have the symptoms, right? We all know what the symptoms are. They're achy joints, headaches, vertigo. You feel like your world is shaking. Inflammation. Your bones hurt, your knees hurt, your joints hurt. This is what you need, right? It's very simple. They're just a few simple plants that have been around for thousands of years, help so much. And now we've made it easier than ever for everybody to get their hands on it without having to create teas and tinctures and go through all the hassle that I went through, which is the most important goal. So if you don't know if you have Lyme disease, you can try to get a test. They're just not accurate, they're just not sensitive, but you can always use herbs, regardless of if you have a positive Lyme disease test or not. So check out LymeDiseaseWars.com, Debbie. That's my recommendation to you. Next person, chronic Lyme, misdiagnosed for 30 years, still in bed 90% of the time. Will anything work at this point? Well, I want to give you some hope, my friend. Not sure what your name is, but will anything work at this point? Yes. Yes. When we give up on ourselves, we've given up on everything, right? We need to be able to have that hope. We need to know that it's possible to get better. It is possible to get better. You can take back your body. You can feel like yourself again. One of my clients, what's her name? Man, I'm blanking on her name. I'll think of it by the end of the story. She works on a farm. She needed to hire help with her farm because she couldn't walk anymore. She was bedridden when she called me. She became a high-end client, right? She paid me a good amount of money to help her turn her life around. I started by giving her the LymeWars herbs. Then I fixed her supplement regimen. Then I fixed her diet, gave her a meal plan. And by the end of 6 weeks, she's now working on her farm. She doesn't need a cane to walk around. She doesn't need to hire help. She started doing fun things that she used to do before. Incredible. She turned everything around just with a few simple tweaks. And it wasn't necessarily simple in the, like, knowing what to do is always the most difficult part. But once we untangled what was really going on and got to the root cause of her issues, it turned out to be a few simple things that we could change up, and she had her energy back. She didn't have to walk with a cane. She didn't have to be bedridden. She could work on her farm again. She could feed and take care of her animals again. She could drive her tractor around. She said, I haven't driven my tractor in 6 years, but I'm finally driving it again thanks to you. And I was blown away. When people tell me these things, I don't know what to do with it. All I can do is turn around and tell other people what happened. But it feels amazing. It's very fulfilling. It makes my heart feel full. And it makes it all worth it. All of the work, the years and years I spent putting all of this together, makes it all feel worth it. So that's why I have to share that story with you. Let me find out what her name is before I forget. She was a client for so long, I should know this. I feel kind of bad, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Her name is Donna. Figured it out. Yep, Donna. So that story that I just told, her name is Donna. She's amazing. I give her all the credit in the world for turning it around, but she came to me, I helped her with a few things that were just a little bit backwards. She just didn't know. She just didn't have the information. She didn't know what helps with Lyme disease, but I've been studying Lyme disease for so long now that I have more nuance, more information, I've had my eyes on more cases. I've had my time spent with more people that have Lyme. I understand the ins and outs of what happens over time. Sometimes you'll get worse a little bit before you get better. I know what to do when that happens. I could go on and on, but you get the point. Luana asked, my biggest concern right now is more so the co-infections. The one that stands out the most to me right now is Morgellons disease. I have deep open sores on my leg and it's aiming to disfigure my face. Some days with the symptoms of Lyme can be unbearable with the aches and pains. My chest has been hurting for the last few days. I'm a 50-year-old female, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know that stuff. Can you let me know? Okay, so she wants to know, first off, she's bringing up Morgellons, which is people get skin lesions that are closely linked to Lyme disease. Morgellons and Lyme disease are kind of cousins. It's like a co-infection that you can get, kind of like Babesia, Bartonella, Chlamydia, Ehrlichia, rickettsiosis. That's a tough one to say every time. But Morgellons is another co-infection that you can get, and it's a largely skin-based infection. A lot of people have a hell of a time trying to fix it. It's just a tricky one. It's painful. It hurts. People can see it. It's on your skin, so it's very out in the open, and it's really difficult. So I understand your pain if that's what you're going through. I'm sorry to hear that. And I would say definitely try the herbs. I know I sound like a broken record. It's just that I've seen them work for so many people. It's so difficult not to bring them up. It's so difficult not to just share them with the world. I've been screaming it from the mountaintops since the moment I healed myself from Lyme disease using herbs. You know, I would get phone calls from people, hey, my friend has Lyme disease, what should she do? And I would say, take these 3 herbs, Polygonum cuspidatum, Eukarya tomentosa, and Andrographis paniculata. That's the 3 herbs that are now in the LymeWars Herb Box that we package up nice and easy for you, and we'll send it right to your door so you never have to do a thing. You can buy it and feel good about yourself because you made the best decision to get the easiest possible route to fix Lyme disease. And it's natural, and it's non-GMO, certified vegan. We third-party test the heck out of them. I give them to my own children. I take them myself, so we have very high standards of testing. We make sure we get all of the certificate of analysis for all of them. No heavy metals, no, extra stuff in there that doesn't need to be there. Only the pure, most potent ingredients to make sure it's the highest quality product for everybody. Especially because I'm taking them myself. I won't take, I've become very picky and I don't take certain things. And I won't give them to my kids, of course, if they're not clean and safe. So, they're very high quality, and I would suggest using those if you're dealing with Morgellons symptoms as well, which is closely related to Lyme disease, and I believe you would have success doing that. Now, she asked what healthy meals she could eat. That's a great question. So, it depends how serious you want to get about healing Lyme disease. See, me personally, I thought I might die. My heart rate was 30 beats per minute at one point. I was fainting pretty often. I fainted 3-4 times within a month. I was sleeping like 16 hours a day. I was definitely the least healthy I've ever been in my entire life when I was dealing with Lyme disease. So, what did I do? I knew I had to turn it all around. I had a son on the way. My son was in my wife at the time's belly, right? He was inside her belly, so I knew, okay, I need to fix everything because I can't be dealing with this when my son gets here. I want to meet my son. He's now in my living room right now. So I obviously was able to turn that around and fix it. So what I did was I took massive action to eat the healthiest I possibly could. And here's how I did it. Smoothie for breakfast. Lots of dark leafy greens. We're talking kale, arugula, maybe some spinach, but mostly kale, right? Dark leafy greens. The darker, the better. Chard, things like that. And a little bit of fruit just to make it sweet enough to like swallow it, because if you don't, it will be just like drinking grass, which is very difficult to do long term. And don't get me wrong, this diet is difficult to do long term regardless. But I tried to keep the fruit levels real low, and I would try to stick to things like blueberries. I didn't want to eat a lot of fruit on this diet, but now looking back, I believe you can add like some banana or something to sweeten up the smoothie. So I would do a smoothie with greens and flax seeds or chia seeds, some kind of fat in there, as well as protein powder in order to keep my protein levels up, because we don't want to, lose muscle mass as much. We just want to make sure that we're getting as much greens in our diet as we possibly can. So then for lunch would be a salad. I would do a salad with dark leafy greens again. I would do onion, garlic, all raw, right? Peppers, beans, chicken, and I would just load that thing up with as much healthy items as I could. But mainly, we just want to get an insane amount of greens, dark leafy greens, and maybe some broccoli or some cabbage or some other, cruciferous vegetables in there. And then, so that's what I did for lunch every single day. And then for dinner, I would do a stir fry. A simple stir fry, talking broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, and then onions, garlic, peppers. And I would just stir fry that up. No rice, no like carbohydrate with it, just straight up vegetables, right? And meat. So I was eating basically just vegetables and meat and as much dark leafy greens as I possibly could every single day. And I did that for a year straight. Why? Because I was terrified for my health. And as I did that, I literally saw my heart rate getting better. I saw my numbers getting better. I saw everything getting better over time. It was so simple and it worked so well. It was actually astounding to see with my own eyes. I was going to a cardiologist at the time, obviously, to make sure I wasn't just gonna pass out and die one day. And I went pretty often, but they could see over time I was just getting better and better and better. And they're like, all right, your heart is completely fine, which they were kind of dumbfounded by. They usually don't see someone come in with their heart in a terrible condition and then it just gets better and better over time. They usually see the opposite happen. It gets worse and worse. So they were like, wow, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. And they couldn't believe how quick and easy I was able to turn that around just by eating a very, very healthy diet. So if you can pull off that diet, by all means go for it. Most of my clients cannot, or will not, I should say. And we make it really easy for them by creating a meal plan that we know they can stick to. It will be a little bit healthier than what they're used to, and we continually crank it up over time, make it more and more healthy for them so that they can get better and better. So hopefully that helps with what to eat. And if you're dealing with Lyme disease and Morgellons, we always recommend using the powerful and potent herbs that are put on this planet for us to use in order to heal from sickness and illness. And just to clarify on that, I mean, I take these herbs when I'm coming down with a cold or a flu, or if my kids are sick, I'll take their herbs to make sure that I don't get sick, or to make sure that I fight back the cold or flu as quick as possible. And I also give them to my kids when they get sick. So they don't just help with Lyme disease, as I was saying before, they help with all types of illness, and they've been used for thousands of years to do so. This isn't a new thing by any means. It's only new here in the West, where we're finally catching on that, okay, plants can be medicine. So hopefully that answers your question, Luana. Really sorry to hear you're dealing with Morgellons, but hopefully that answers it and gives you some next action steps that you can take. Jennifer says, I suffer from long-term dizziness, like being on a boat all the time, even at night. I totally relate to that. I had that same feeling. I couldn't explain it. That's actually a really good way to explain it. It felt like my world was just like wobbling a lot when I was dealing with Lyme disease. I think a lot of it had to do with my heart, but I can't say for sure. I just felt like something was wrong. I kept saying to my wife at the time, something's wrong with me. And she didn't know what to do with that information. I was just saying, something's wrong. I have to go to the doctor. Something is wrong. That's all I knew. That's all I could figure out. And I didn't know why at all. She said, but anyway, Jennifer says, and tingling in my arms and feet. That's very common. There's a lot of nervous system issues that people have, these neurological issues that affect the central nervous system, and you'll get those tingling or those shocking feelings throughout your extremities and in your arms and your feet. How do I know this will help? Did you suffer like this? A, yes, I suffered like that, for sure. B, a ton of our clients have had very similar symptoms, almost the same exact thing, tingling in their arms and feet. It happens because Lyme disease eats collagen in our body, and it affects the central nervous system in that way. And when it gets to the nervous system, it can affect your nerves. And when your nerves get affected, you get those shocks, those little tingling feelings in your fingers and your hands and your feet, in your arms. That's very common. We hear that from a lot of our clients. And when they take their herbs for a few months or a year, they see a huge improvement. Those symptoms start to go away very quickly, actually. And if you keep taking the herbs, they never come back. Personally, I took herbs for a year straight. People always ask me, how long do I have to do this? It's going to vary for each individual, depending on what they're dealing with. For me personally, I did it for a year, 12 months straight, and then my symptoms were gone. I didn't do it again after that. Now I only take them when I'm trying to fight back a cold or a flu, and I haven't had any symptoms in 7.5 years. So that's my answer for that. That's me personally. We have clients who've taken them for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. Some people take them forever, and they're okay with that. They say, I'm just going to take herbs forever because I'm always fighting back these symptoms. And some people have chronic Lyme, and they're constantly fighting back with herbs. That's completely fine as well. Some people only take them for 3 months, and then they're like, I feel like $1 million. Some people take them seasonally, so they realize their symptoms get worse in the fall, in the winter, and in the spring, so they take them then, but in the summer they feel completely fine, so they don't take them then. It's completely up to you, but that's a question I get all the time. How long do I have to do this? Should I plan on taking them forever? Should I plan on taking them for 6 months? Personally, I think you should plan on taking them for 6 to 12 months, but 1 month is better than 0 months, right? So it's not like you shouldn't take action if you can't take them for 6 months in a row. But the longer you take them, the better results you will get, just based on the fact that the more herbs you have in your system, the easier you'll kill off those Lyme microbes, detoxify them out of your body, and start to rebuild and repair the structures in your body, which is another key that I just wanted to bring up, is that antibiotics kill Lyme microbes, but they don't even do that very well, because Lyme microbes are used to antibiotics. They're antibiotic resistant, and they curl up in little balls, and they do everything they can to evade the antibiotics. But herbs don't just kill Lyme microbes. They also rebuild and repair the structures that have been damaged from the Lyme microbes to begin with. See, it's like a car accident. When you have Lyme microbes in your body, they create a bunch of damage. Well, the Lyme microbes might be gone, but the damage is still there. Just like in a car accident, the other car is gone, but the dent, the scratch, the collision is still there. The car still needs to be repaired, right? And that's the power and the beauty of herbs, is that they can repair and rebuild all those structures. And so can collagen supplements, which we have at LymeDiseaseWars.com as well. You add in some collagen to replace the collagen that the Lyme microbes have eaten and used as their food source. They don't really eat it per se, but they use it as their food source. So, all that being said, yes, all those symptoms are extremely common. Yes, I suffered like that. Yes, our clients suffer like that. So how do I know it will help? Well, I just heard story after story after story of people feeling the same exact way as you, and LymeWars Herbs being the answer to them, being the help that they really needed. And they send me emails and they tell me that it helped them fix all of the problems they were facing. So I think it would work for you as well, just based off the evidence that I've seen, just based off I've been doing this for many years, helping people with Lyme disease. And even before I created the LymeWars Herb Box, these herbs were helping people. I just made it way easier, way more affordable, and way higher quality way for you to get the herbs that everyone was already taking. So everyone was already taking these herbs before. I was taking them before the LymeWars Herb Box existed. I just made it really easy and made sure they were really, really high quality by having really strict standards, third-party testing, getting them certified vegan, certified non-GMO, and making them more affordable. So they're the most affordable, they're the easiest, and they're the highest quality out of anything else you have to choose from. Trust me, I put a lot of work into creating it that way, because that's the whole goal of LymeWars. That's why LymeWars exists. So, LymeDiseaseWars.com, if you're interested in checking it out. I will drop a link to that in the chat. But Jennifer, I believe this will help you if you give it a chance. And we have a money-back guarantee. If it doesn't work for any reason, we'll just give you money back, no problem. But from what we've seen, it just works so well for so many people. I can't see that happening. I can't see a world where you take them every day religiously and you don't get better, or something positive doesn't happen for your health. That's just very rare. That almost never happens, and I've never even heard a story of any one of our clients taking them and not having a beneficial effect. And that is all the questions that I have via email. If anybody has any questions, post them below. I will create another live video to answer that question. This went on pretty long. We're coming up on 45 minutes, so hopefully I answered everyone's questions. Again, if you're interested, you can go to LymeDiseaseWars.com to try out the herb box. We have a money-back guarantee, so if it doesn't work out for you, we'll just give your money back, no problem. And it's just the best possible solution that ever existed. And I've been talking about it ever since we created it, because it's so great and it helps so many people. It helped me, it saved my life, so I can't shut up about it. It's like, if somebody saves your life, there's a hero out there, you're going to go tell the whole world that that person exists. It's impossible not to share it with other people when the help is there, when it's right there in front of us. I have to talk about it. it's my responsibility to share this with as many people as possible. So hopefully this video has been helpful. Hopefully we answered your questions. And if you have any other questions, please reach out. You can always reach me at help@LymeDiseaseWars.com or in the comments below this video. We will check the comments and make sure everyone's taken care of. We're here to help you. Reach out. We love you. Have a great weekend, and see you next time.